No, no, FBA is not a lineage. Visuals and explanation. If we go back to 1865, when the Civil War ended, black people were not citizens. Now, right now, I'm showing you the man known as Cujo Lewis. Cujo Lewis was a Yoruba man born in what today is the Republic of Benin, the territory that later became the Republic of Benin. He was captured by the military, by the armed forces of the Dahomey Kingdom, and transported to Alabama. Now, I believe these are his granddaughters. They were born in the United States. They were born, think they were born after the Civil War. But, anyways, in any case, either they or their descendants would be foundational black Americans. But no one coming down the line would still be that because they're not at the foundation. To be an American, according to people who call themselves foundational black Americans, means to be an American citizen. And indeed, they tie themselves to America by the flag that they created being reminiscent of the American flag. They're honoring the American flag to show that they have ties to America, although they try to connect themselves back to America, or go use the uh, date of 1526. In 1526, there was no United States. 1526, Spain was claiming what is now the United States, along with the Caribbean and South and Central America. Pretty much Latin America and the Caribbean were being claimed, or what would today be Latin America and the Caribbean were being claimed by the Spanish. And so, in that regards, they just saw themselves as moving from one part of their empire to another. So that's another thing, trying to separate Black American history from Latino or Hispanic history when you have people uh, tracing themselves to people who were brought by the Spanish. And then, since many of the people who call themselves uh, FBA, Foundational Black Americans, claim that they are descended from indigenous people of America, I don't really see why they would choose uh, a date of arrival. Why choose that at all? And then it gets confusing because indigenous people are not even the same race as black people, but yet these people are claiming that they descend from an indigenous black group. Which, when did this indigenous black group arrive? Or are they saying that America is the source of humanity rather than Africa? I'm not quite sure where they're going with that, but in any event, lineage is where you trace yourself from one ancestor to another until you get to yourself. Now, at some point, any of us who are uh, of the African American ethnic group could say that we descend from somebody who was a foundational, meaning first, Black American, but that would be the person who was the first to hold U.S. citizenship. Now, this man here is George Taney. George Taney was the uh, major judge. He was the one who ruled against Dred Scott in the Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott was a man of African descent who was enslaved and who his master, his owner, went into a state where slavery was not permitted, and he basically tried to sue his master for his freedom, but George Taney and went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I think this was like in 1857. So went all the way to the Supreme Court, where Judge Taney ruled that being imported from Africa, uh, Dred Scott's ancestors were not citizens, or that nobody who was Black or African or of the African race, the historic African race, meaning someone labeled as Black, Negro, colored, etc., African, Ethiopian. These are all terms that were used. Uh, was or could be a United States citizen. This is Dred Scott himself. It's a visual of him. Okay, so this is the 1866 Civil Rights Act, which was the first ruling, first law that made people who were born in the United States citizens. And I guess this is something that would trouble those who have issues with so-called anchor babies. But anyways, it reads, the Civil Rights Act of 1866 declared all persons born in the United States to be citizens without distinction of race or color, a previous condition of slavery, or involuntary servitude. Although President Andrew Jackson vetoed the legislation, that veto was overturned by the 39th United States Congress, and it goes on from there. Okay, so Andrew Jackson was the president after Abraham Lincoln. And this is where he vetoed it. To the Senate of the United States, I regret that the bill, which has passed both houses of Congress, entitled An Act to Protect All Persons in the United States and Their Civil Rights and Furnish the Means of Their Vindication, contains provisions which I cannot approve, consistently with my sense of duty to the whole people and my obligations to the Constitution of the United States. I am therefore constrained to return it to the House in which it originated, with my objections to its becoming law. By the first section of the bill, all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed. That's another thing. You have people who say that they're Indians or Native American, but at the time, Native Americans were not citizens as long as they uh, were affiliating with their tribes. So excluding Indians not taxed or declared are declared to be citizens of the United States. This provision comprehends the Chinese of the Pacific states, Indians subject to taxation, so that means Indians who had put themselves under uh, separated from their tribes, basically. The people called gypsies, as well as the entire race designated as blacks, people of color, Negroes, mulattoes means somebody mixed African and European descent, roughly half and half, between half and uh, an eighth African, mulattoes, and persons of African blood. That's another thing. You have people who deny being African. Uh, Every individual of these races born in the United States is by the bill made a citizen of the United States. It does not purport to declare or confer any other right of citizenship than federal citizenship. It does not propose to give these classes of persons any status as citizens of states, except that which may result from their status as citizens of the United States. The power to confer the right of state citizenship is just as exclusively with the several states as the power to confer the right of federal citizenship with Congress. With Congress. Now skip going down here. 4 million of them have just emerged from slavery into freedom. Can it be reasonably supposed that they possess the requisite qualifications to entitle them to all the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States? So I won't go too much farther into that. Yeah, but he vetoed it, but it was overturned in the 1866 Act and then solidified with the 14th Amendment. Yes, but Cujo Lewis's, that actually was not his uh, original name, but Cujo Lewis's, uh, obviously not Lewis, descendants who were born in the United States would be foundational, but not his descendants. That is all.